Good evening. Good evening. My name is Barbara Littles, and I'm so glad that you're here with me today for those who don't know me. And tonight, I want to talk to you about something for a few minutes that everyone's talking about, or a lot of business people are talking about, entrepreneurs, a lot of people in their career are talking about. It's the end of the year, so we're talking about finishing strong. But what does that really mean? Finishing strong and going into the new year. And so we have to remember that in order to finish strong this year, we have to do some reflection. We have to do some reflection. Today is December 1st. It is the last month of the year. And what is the best use of our time as entrepreneurs during the last month of the year? So I want to give you some tips tonight that will help you to finish strong, but not only help you finish strong, but help you to prepare for a strong 2022. Because I can guarantee you, hi Claudette from Michigan, I can guarantee you that what you think the problem is in your business really isn't the problem at all. And so I want to share a few things with you tonight, and then I'll let you know how you can get in touch with me and how we can speak if you want to do that on a more personal basis. But let me start out tonight by saying it is imperative that for in December of this year, this month, that you take time to reflect. And I want to talk about what reflection actually means because sometimes we think we're reflecting, but we're actually not. Reflection means taking time, alone time, to sit down and to think through the year that you've had, the last quarter that you've had, those things that have gone really well, those things that haven't gone very well, and those things that were epic failures. Yes, because most of the lessons going into 2022 and what you're supposed to do is in the epic failures. And we don't want to look at the failures, but it actually is in the epic failures. Hi, Heather. How are you? So I want to make sure tonight that we start this session understanding that there's no judgment. There's actually no judgment. We all should be in a growth mode and continuing to learn on our entrepreneurial journey. And one thing that I know that Olympian athletes do, and my niece was on the USA softball team that went to Olympics this year, and they came away with the silver. And one of the things that I had asked her, I said, "What happens when you're on the field as a softball player and something happens and it's an epic failure for you?" And she said to me, she said, "I get up very quickly from it." She said, "I don't take a lot of time to think about that epic failure in the moment because in the moment I have to get up and get back in the game." How many of us have taken too much time to consider and to think about and to mull over the epic failures? We're to take the lessons, reflect enough to get the lesson, and then move on. Get the lesson, make the adjustment, and then move on. So in our reflection time in December, I want you to think about how are you going to reflect? What time have you set aside on your calendar to reflect? Make sure that you have booked time, specifically booked time on your calendar to reflect. I'm smiling because I see Kathleen in terms of wasted time. Okay? Put it on your calendar that this is my time to reflect. I want to caution you that some of you are thinking, as you think about 2022, you're thinking about how you can do more of the same thing in a different way. I'm going to say that again. A lot of you are thinking about how you can do more of the same thing you did this year, but in a different way. And I want to challenge you tonight that that is probably not the thought or the question that you want to be asking yourself. You should be asking yourself, how can I do the right thing with the right people in the right way? How can I do the right thing with the right people in the right way? And so, this idea that the element that you're missing is your circle. And I've been talking, those of you who follow me, you know, I have been talking about the destiny circle and how you're to get to that next place. And a lot of times we are knitted to people and to places and to things that cannot get us where we need to go. It's not that they're malicious. It's not that they're not nice people. It's not like they're not kind people, but they simply do not have the know-how, the tools, etc., to get us where we want to go. So tonight, I'm challenging you to look at your circle. I have a new ebook out, and we've been doing sessions on it. And I'll put it in the chat if someone wants to get it. But the fact of the matter is, I'm talking about the 6 people that you need in your life to succeed in your circle. And a lot of times, the people that are the closest to us, the people that we talk to every day, yes, we like them. Yes, they support us. Yes, they are fans, but they cannot get you to destiny in terms of where you want to go. I tell people all the time, at this point in most of your lives, you don't need fans. You don't need fans. Yes, you need people to support you, but in the destiny circle, we talk about the necessary people to support you and where they belong in the destiny circle. If you are stuck on needing fans, you are not going to be ready to go to that place where you have really good customers and a really good business. So I want to encourage you tonight that make sure as you think about 2022, you're thinking about doing the right thing, right? More of or some of the right thing with the right people at the right time. Make sure that you do that. Don't sit and think about how can I do more of what I did this year and get a different result. We say insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So the beautiful thing about this is that we have the ability to change. So I believe that the core of what a lot of people are missing in reference to their business and whatever they're trying to grow is you are surrounded in close proximity by the wrong people. You are. I want you to consider these things. What value does this particular person add to my goal or to my business? Now, they may be a person that adds value to your life in some other kind of way. I'm not saying that they're not. But I'm talking about business. And a lot of times, women in particular, we are very relational, and that's great. But we don't leverage our relationships in business to do what it is that we need to do. How many of your relationships are you really leveraging today? How many of relationships of people who can help you connect with someone or can help you do what you need to do that you're not utilizing? How many people would be glad to pick up the phone and have you speak to them, not about nonsense, but about taking care of business? Number 2, I want to make sure that we understand that the greatest commodity that we have is time. How are you spending your time? Are you spending your time with the wrong people in the wrong places doing the wrong things? Because if you're spending your time trying to hit Charlie over the head and drag Charlie, hit Charlie over the head and drag Charlie, you are wasting time. You are wasting precious time. Hi, Elder Williams. Good to see you. You are wasting precious time. Stop hitting Charlie over the head and trying to drag Charlie. You have to get the courage. And this is where, for those of you who know me, I'm the truth teller. Okay. This is where you have to get up and you have to motivate yourself to get up and to find those people who are supposed to be in your circle doing the right thing with the right people in the right way. Thank you, Kathleen. So you have to make sure that you have the right people. And sometimes that's very hard. So in your reflection time, whenever I reflect, I have no sacred cows. I have God, I have my family. Those are my non-negotiables. Your vision is non-negotiable. Everything else that you're doing is up for negotiation. And when you think of it like that, you'll be surprised at the witty ideas and even the people that you perhaps overlooked that you may not know well, they are the next door in your business. And a lot of times we want people who are like us, who look like us, who think like us, who smell like us, who walk like us, who talk like us. And that may not be the next person that's going to help you to that next place in your business. So I want to talk to you tonight about diversifying. Diversifying, and I mean culturally diversifying. I'm just, I'm people that know me know I'm a straight talker. Culturally diversifying your business. Geographically diversifying your business. Don't get stuck to your backyard. A lot of entrepreneurs get stuck in their backyard and they're upset with people who they feel don't support them. but you are not going to grow a business in your backyard. Yes, there will be people who will come and support you, but you need to go out, and that takes courage. It takes confidence for you to get up and for you to do that. So the third thing I want to make sure that you're doing this year in 2022, that you are building yourself. Your business and your life is not going to go any higher than the relationships that you have. They're not going to go any higher than the quality of the relationships that you have. So you need to check yourself and say, what does quality look like in my business, in my relationships? What does that look like? I have relationships with people who are great people that I talk to. They're good people that I laugh with, but they're not necessarily people that I do business with. And so when I'm spending X number of hours during the day doing business, those are not people that I'm talking to on a regular basis and jesting. How many of you spending too much time on social media doing things and responding to things that have nothing to do with your business, your goals, or where you're trying to go? This next point I want to make to you in terms of reflecting and getting ready for 2022, and this is a biggie, is you have got to do the work. You've got to do the work. Oh, I'm glad the person asked. Let me go back and say, what does quality look like? What does quality look like? And I'm going to refer you, I am going to drop in the chat the ebook, and it's only $4.99 if you want to get the ebook. But it really does tell you that. It tells you how to identify, attract, and engage those people that you need to succeed in your life. Because that's an excellent question. What does quality look like? Because quality to one person may not be quality to another. So you also have to figure out what it is that, how I want my brand or my business to stand out. But this last one that I want to talk to you about is doing the work. You have to go through the process and you have to do the work. Are you sitting by the side of the road or by the lake or by the river washing your nets? Are you really in the game, or are you really in the game going out, putting yourself out there, getting clients, getting customers? I'm a big person on collaboration. I believe in collaboration. Collaborations are one of the collaborators or one of the 6 people I say you need to succeed. However, most people, and I'm bold enough to say most people do collaboration incorrectly. Are there a number of ways to do collaboration? Absolutely. But most people do correct collaboration incorrectly. Most people try to find someone to get on their coattail and they call that a collaboration. That is not a collaboration. Collaboration is when you have gone through the process and you are going through the process and you are willing to do the work to build something where I can then go to someone else and say, I've built something, I'm building something, you're building something. It looks like this might be a good opportunity for us if we did something together. Don't try to collaborate with people and you haven't built anything. Just don't do it. And so I have so many people that come to me as an attorney and say, you know, I've entered this collaboration. I need to get out of it. I don't know how to get out of it. And most of the time, 99% of the time, 99.9% of the time, when I sit down and talk with them, it was a collaboration they should have never been in the first place. You have to make some choices for 2022. You are going to have to decide, am I going to endure the process? Do not abort the process. It's like having a baby. And for those ladies and even those gentlemen who you've had a wife or someone who carried a child, and you've had the opportunity to observe, you don't get to pass the first trimester. You don't get to skip to the second trimester of pregnancy. You've got to go through the first trimester, which for some women is very uncomfortable. It's they're getting sick, they're swollen, they're throwing up all over the place. They can't smell stand the smell of certain foods, but they cannot skip the first trimester to get to the second trimester. And I don't care if they go across the street to their friend who is in their second trimester and say, "Hey, can we get together?" Guess what? They still have to go through their own first trimester. You are not going to get where you want to go without going through the process. And this I want you to really reflect on, because this is a hard thing for people to receive and to really understand. and then be willing to do. You must go through the process. People spend their life, and we spend our life trying to avoid pain. We do. Well, you know what? I'm just going to go and skip it over here and do this because I'm not going through that first part. No, you are. But probably if you try to skip the first part of your process, you're into the second part of the process. And guess what happens in the second part of your process? You will always have to go back to the beginning. And the question is, what is it going to cost you in your second and third trimester if you have to go back to the beginning? Do not try to abort the process. There is pain in the process. There is pain in giving birth. There is pain in labor. The fruit that comes forth from it is great. But a lot of times after we have the baby, okay, we don't necessarily think about the last 9 months. You will not avoid the process and the pain of birthing your business, your ministry, whatever it is you're trying to do. So stop trying to avoid the process. Stop trying to latch on to someone else and call it collaboration. You have got to do the work. That means, what does it mean for you to do the work? It means you have to be consistent. And we all struggle with this at some point in our business. Okay. There are certain things in your business that you love to do. And there are other things that you don't really particularly care for. All right. But those things that you don't particularly care for, like foundation, getting your certifications, doing the things that you need to do, those are the things that will derail your business. And guess what? They will derail your business at the time when you have a client or a potential client that's looking to do business with you. It will derail your business at that point. You should not get a client. First of all, make sure when you get a client that you know how you're going to onboard the client. How am I bringing them into the business? When I get a client, how am I accepting payment from that client? When I get a client, how am I communicating with that client? When I get a client, what specific services am I providing for that client? Okay. And so you have to make sure that you are going through the process. And let me tell you this part of the process is not sexy. It is not. It is not the glamour that people see. It's not the things that people show on, Instagram and Facebook and all the other places. It is not any of those things. This is the non-sexy part, but it is the necessary part. It's the non-sexy part, but it is the necessary part. I cannot take time to tell you tonight, over 30 years of practicing law, people who had great businesses. I've known people who have great businesses. They had businesses for 15 years, and the 15-year business derailed because of lack of foundation. Became very successful in business. 15 years of being successful. And there was one entity that questioned their business. And that one question caused their business to derail after 15 years. I talk about all the time leading beyond the optics. You've got to go beyond what things look like. Some of us on social media, and social media is great. You got to understand the purpose of social media. And we are looking at other people and we're comparing ourselves with other people and we're wondering, why can't I do that? And oh, that person looks so good and their business sounds so good and they have X number of followers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I want to say to you tonight, run your own race. In 2022, you've got to decide to run your own race. Get up every day and decide, what does this race look like? What does this race look like? And am I willing to run my own race? If your answer is no, I'm not willing to do something different. If the answer is I'm not willing to go through the process. If the answer is I'm not willing to attract or get the right people doing the right things in the right way. If your answer is no to all of that, the real truth, Ronaldo, the real truth is you're not ready for business. And there are not many people who tell you that. But the fact is that that's true. You have to ask yourself, as you reflect, what places or areas of my life have I been sitting in the same place for the last 5 years, sometimes with the same people? I'm enjoying the scenery. Oh, I'm having fun. I laugh every day. I even learn stuff. But I'm not learning the stuff that I need to learn in order to do my business. So tonight, I want to say to you, to finish strong this year, you have to reflect on the year. You have to reflect on the year. As people start to call you at the end of this year for business, I've had people who start calling me, new people, for business in the month of December. If you have not set your foundation, if you don't know where you're going, what you're doing, and who you want to do it with, and who you have in your circle to be able to do it with, all right, it's going to be very difficult for you to determine which clients you should take and which ones you should not. Now, a client is not a client is not a client, just like a doctor is not a doctor is not a doctor, an attorney is not an attorney, not an attorney. I generally, yes, took criminal law in school, but I'm not going to try to defend someone in a criminal case because that was not my area of expertise. So make sure that as you listen and as you move forward in 2022, where are you going? And we've got to get past this thing of things just looking good. They can't just look good. They've got to be good. They've got to be good. You've got to know your content. You've got to know your area of expertise. A lot of times people say, I'm getting up and I'm telling my story. Get up and tell your story. But surrounding that story, you better have some content and some substance in terms of how to move people from one place to the next place. People are looking for transformation. If you're developing a team, they're looking for transformation. And I'll say this, and then I'm going to close. I know, attorneys have 3 or 4 closings, right? And this is a real hard one. I thought process was hard, but this is a really hard one for a lot of people. Everyone is not going to like you. Everyone is not going to like you. So stop trying to please everyone and thinking that everyone is going to like you. And you've got to be committed to what you say you are doing, to the point where you will press forward if you're the only one standing. There's points in our business where we're it. We're it. Mom and daddy might be around, sister, brother might be around, but you're it. Am I willing to stand alone for a period of time and be it in order to build the right places? A lot of times I've worked with teams over the years in various businesses, and I learned a lot from working with teams and working with people. And one of the things I learned is that you're never going to move someone beyond where they want to go. And I don't care how much you want for them or how much potential you see in them. You're not going to move them beyond where they want to go. So stop substituting your want for them for their desire. Stop substituting your want for their desire. Shani says, okay, yeah, it doesn't matter that everyone likes you. It doesn't matter if everyone doesn't understand where you're going. You've got to be sure of where you're going, what you're trying to do, and you need to have that circle around you when you are not sure, that you can go into that inner circle. And they're not going to just pat you on the back. They're just not going to say, oh, add a boy, add a girl. They're going to say, you know what? They're going to listen very carefully because they are listeners. Your inner circle, your destiny circle, they are listeners. They're going to listen very carefully. And they're going to give you the best advice of how to become the best version of yourself and to build the best version of your business that you want to build. If they do not have the ability to do that, then you have the wrong people in close proximity to you. Make sure that as you go into 2022 and you reflect on 2021, that you reflect on people. Every single thing you want to do and every place that you want to go depends on whether or not you get there, depends on the quality of people you have around you. I have a mentor that talked about how at the end of each year, he sits down and he looks at his calendar. And he says, I go through every day in my calendar. Now, my calendar is not as tight as his, right? But every day of his calendar. And he said, as I'm looking through my calendar each of every day, I'm looking to see who I spent time with. And there are some people that I think that was a waste of time. Didn't really get much out of that. I'm not spending time with that person in the next year. And he said, there are other people I come across, and I said, my conversation, my interaction with that person was powerful. It was very strong. It was uplifting. It was life-giving. I want to spend more time with that person in the next year. And he marks that down. Same thing for places. This is a place where I learned a lot in last year. I need to spend more time in this particular place. And this place, I didn't learn a lot in 2021. It was nice, it was great. I met some people, but I didn't learn a lot. I'm probably not going to go back there in 2022. Do your reflection, take time to do your reflection, and make sure that as you go into 2022, not only have you reflected on what you're doing, who you're doing it with, and how you're doing it, make sure that you are willing to pay the price, both in process, in word, in deed, and in your money, in your finances. Make sure that you are willing to make the investment to be able to follow the process. The truth of the matter is, you are not going to have $1 million business. Okay, people, you're not going to have $1 million business based on free stuff. You're not. I don't care who's fooled you to believe that. People say, I'm not going to invest in myself. What you're saying is, when you don't invest in yourself, I'm not investing in my business. If you don't invest in yourself, you're not investing in your business. And then you have to ask yourself, is what I'm doing, is it a hobby for me? I enjoy doing it, and I like the people I meet. I just want to have a good time. And if it's a hobby, it's okay. It is okay. You just have to know it's a hobby. You have to recognize it's a hobby. You have to acknowledge it as a hobby. It's a hobby, and that's fine. But if it's a business, you better recognize it as a business, and you better treat it like it's a business. And that's going to require that you get focused and you get disciplined for 2022. All right. So things we've left behind in 2021, but as we're going into 2022, we are going to be more focused. We're going to be more disciplined. We're going to have more clarity, and we're going to do the right thing with the right people in the right way. And that means that we need to sit down and assess and this month, all of those things that I just mentioned. I want you to go back through this, because it will be on the different pages. Go back and say, which of these things do I really need to reflect on as I leave 2021 and finish strong, so that I can jumpstart a 2022 that I am raring to go. Some of us have lost the excitement of our business. We have lost the excitement of what we're doing. And whenever you lose, it's connected to people. And when you win, it's connected to people. Make sure as you go into 2022, you connect with the right people so that you can win in 2022. If I don't see you again, have a great end of the year. Have a great holiday season, whatever you celebrate. Be safe, enjoy your family, enjoy your friends, but make sure you take time to reflect so you can finish strong in 2021 and be prepared for 2022. You all have a good evening. Thank you for joining me. Bye-bye.